Yo, 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 people and patrons of the night. It is your boy, BD, and once again, welcome to my channel. Welcome back to the Horror Tavern. Make sure that, as always, you grab a drink, you take a seat, and you get ready as we're about to explore the limitless cavern that is the horror genre, all with the sore throat that I had these past few weeks. The source we will not cover. Listen, I'm going to be talking about horror slashers once again. That's right. I've been watching a lot of horror movies because on summer break, I got the time to finally watch them. And I've been watching a lot more slashers just to get more familiar with the genre. And the movie I'm talking about today has ended up being my new favorite slasher. This movie is fantastic. It has a lot of violent and brutal gore in it. It's got a lot of creative kill scenes. It's got a slasher villain with a really fun gimmick and really intimidating aura, presence, and action and relevance to the movie. It's got some pretty good characterization for a few people in the movie, which is pretty unique for slashers, and just the setting and gimmick of the story really plays out with the holiday in a really good way. So I want to talk about this movie that came out as a modern slasher last year. And if you can't tell what I'm talking about, I'm referring to Eli Roth's Thanksgiving. This movie was directed by Eli Roth and it was written by Jeff Randall, excuse me, and it's based on a fake 2007 Grindhouse trailer that got now turned into a full-on mainstream movie. And this film is amazing. I want to talk a little bit about the plot before I go into, excuse me, my exact thoughts. But one of my friends, really good friends of mine, Horror FFA, his channel is HORROR FFA. He's got a YouTube channel. His name's Austin. He reviews a lot of different horror movies, and he watched Thanksgiving when it came out. And he said that this movie was one of his favorite horror movies of all time, and one of his favorite slashers, I believe. So I heard that hype, and I got really excited because me and him sort of have similar taste. I respect his opinion. Michael from Night of the Living Dude channel, Night of the Living Dude. He reviews a shit ton of horror movies. He's got a lot of great content on there. Really great stand-up guy. He reviewed this movie as well and said he loved it. And that's another one of my good friends that I respect his opinion. And me and him like some similar stuff. So I was like, you know what? Let me check out this movie. Excuse me, and let me see if I'm gonna love it as well. And spoiler alert, yeah, that's what fucking happened. This is a fucking badass slasher horror movie. It's got all those things I highlighted earlier, but let me talk about the plot first. So this story takes place in Plymouth, Massachusetts, where obviously the first Pilgrims came, the first Thanksgiving happened, John Carver, the first governor of Plymouth, and since it's over in this area, they celebrate Thanksgiving to the max. They have a Thanksgiving parade. They end up having this huge sort of like family feel where all the families meet up for Thanksgiving dinner and have a good time with each other. It's a small sort of town and everybody sort of knows each other. And there's a supermarket, this huge retail chain that's at there called Right Mart. And Right Mart is sort of a spoof on Walmart. It looks very similar to Walmart. It has a lot of similar gimmicks, so it's sort of just making fun of Walmart, which I thought was quite a fun gimmick to this movie, and it is important to the plot. So during Thanksgiving, you get introduced to two different families. One is a sort of normal middle-class family, and the husband of the wife in this family is the manager of the Right Mart, and he actually gets, excuse me, this, yeah, speaking of slashers, the biggest slasher is this cold that I've been having because it's been brutalizing my insides for a while. But you have basically this family, and the husband in the family is the manager to the Right Mart. So he goes over and he has to work during Thanksgiving because obviously it's Black Friday. And Black Friday in Plymouth is huge. There's a crowd of thousands of people. There's a giant mob riot, almost like it's a concert going on. And they're getting ready to break into this supermarket, this retail store, and, you know, get ready for all the deals. And things might start getting very violent and very brutal. You see then that as he goes there, there's another family you get introduced to, and this family, the father, Thomas, is actually the owner of Right Mart. And They're very wealthy. They have an elegant Thanksgiving. And you get introduced to the main character of the movie, Jessica, who's a teenage girl. She's the daughter of Thomas. Her mother ended up passing away, and her father remarried to a new wife and her new mother. She kind of doesn't get along with their mother. They have different ideologies. The mother's sort of selfish. You sort of get that she's kind of like a little bit of a gold digger. And meanwhile, the daughter very much cares about her father. She wants the best for him, and you get that idea very early on. But therefore, she feels left out because she feels like her family's too shallow in certain places. So she invites over her boyfriend, who's a star pitcher of a baseball team in town, and decide to go out to the movies. And you meet up with the rest of their high school friends. There's some football players, some popular girls. One of them is Addison Rae, who's a famous TikToker, and her character is named Gabby, and she's in this friend group. So they all meet up, get ready to go to the movies, and as they're heading over there, there's a lot of traffic for Black Friday, and they eventually see this giant mob in front of Right Mart, and everybody's there, all these security guards. One of the security guards is played by Tim Dillon, who's a very popular comedian that you will see if you watch Joe Rogan podcast. He's hilarious, he's in a lot of stuff, and he's very funny in this movie. And when a certain event happens, which may or may not be a riot involving the people getting into the Right Mart, he hauls ass, which I can appreciate. That's my type of motherfucker right there. You haul ass out of this giant crowd. So basically, as I hinted, there's a giant riot that happens, and it's because this friend group of teenagers, including the main character, goes in through the employee entrance of the store. People see them in there. They start getting angry. You have a sheriff in town called Sheriff Eric. He's very much friendly with everybody. He ends up getting involved because now all these people are very much crowding up the place. And when they see these people go inside the store and they start getting mad as to why they were able to go in there, the crowd pushes forward, pushes the security away, and they try breaking down the glass automatic doors. And when the security guard inside is trying to unlock the door to let them in, it's too late. They already pushed down the doors. It crashes on top of the security guard. They trample him to death, and his face gets smashed into glass, and he bleeds out on the floor. Everybody starts fighting each other. There's a guy who ends up trying to move his way through the broken glass door, and next thing you know, a shard of glass tears open his throat, and he's bleeding out as he's grabbing a waffle iron, and as he grabs it and goes away, he eventually falls over and dies. So you got a lot of dark comedy in here, a lot of brutal violence, exaggerated violence. Meanwhile, the teenagers are in there. They're kicking, elbowing, fighting people. They're freaking out and running around. One of the football guys is recording it, trying to get a viral video. And next thing you know, the wife of the manager that we got introduced to of this Right Mart, she shows up to give him her husband some leftovers. And because she got in before the crowd came in, she ends up getting caught within this mess, and she ends up getting hit by a cart. Then one other woman's cart, this woman works in a diner, her cartwheel wraps up in the hair, and as the cartwheel drives off, a piece of the woman's scalp gets pulled off, and this wife basically dies. The manager of the Right Mart is basically heartbroken, and all this crazy violence happens until the sheriff pulls up his gun, shoots it, and then that basically ends off this moment of the riot. Then you cut to next year, and you have people protesting Thanksgiving, including the manager whose wife died. They all want this place shut down, and Jessica's dad is not closing it down. Instead, he's doubling down on sales, trying to make a bigger, sort of opening, trying to get public relations with the town. And Jessica thinks that it's not good. Her dad's being selfish. He's not taking these people's issues seriously. And next thing you know, you get introduced to this unknown slasher. And this unknown slasher villain is donning a John Carver mask, because during Thanksgiving for the parade, these masks are handed out to everybody, especially at the famous diner. And because these masks are getting handed out, this guy decides to wear this common mask, put on a pilgrim hat, wear all black, and start using various weapons and tactics to kill all these different victims and people. So all of a sudden there's a lot of carnage. And this John Carver guy first starts posting this Instagram account that's very cryptic. It's all sort of cryptic social media and different burner phones that he is using. And next thing you know, as he's taking pictures of his Thanksgiving table, it basically tags that there's going to be this giant feast that he posts on Instagram, and all the friends of this teenage group are tagged in the post, and they sort of think this is weird and fishy, and next thing you know, people start getting killed. First was a lady in the diner who ended up being the lady in the front of the riot, who was basically making a big scene. She ends up being targeted. In the after hours when her diner closes, you have John Carver basically break in. John Carver starts beating her up, grabs her head, pulls it down, and starts basically waterboarding her in a fill-up sink in the diner, and then opens up a freezer door where all the food is located, and then smashes her against the freezer door so her face slams into there. And when she tries pulling her face away, the skin gets peeled off. And then, of course, John Carver starts trying to kill her, I think with an axe or a knife or something. And eventually she thinks that she loses him, that John Carver went away. She runs outside, and next thing you know, she finds out John Carver is in the parking lot. He's in this car with the lights off. The car turns on, floors forward. She tries running away, and next thing you know, he slams into her at full speed, drives her into an open dumpster, and as the impact of the car hits the dumpster, next thing you know, the lid comes down at the same time simultaneously and bisects her, cuts her in half. Her bottom half falls to the ground. There's a long entrail of organs and intestines, and the second half of her, the top half, is still in the trash can. And what ends up happening the next morning is that her lower half of the torso, her legs and whatever, her body, I guess, ends up being set on top of the Right Mart sign of the supermarket as a sort of warning symbol. And then her other half, the top half, is put in one of the seats of this John Carver guy's Thanksgiving dining table. And obviously he keeps posting all the different social media preparing for this event. So he first posts her hanging up on top of the sign with just her legs. And I think the caption is like, slashing everything in half, 50% off sale. So not only is the killer brutal and efficient, but they also have a sense of comedy. So there's a dark comedy angle to the movie throughout it with the Thanksgiving gimmick. Next victim is the security guard who ran away, Tim Dillon. Tim Dillon actually, John Carver ends up breaking into his apartment and gets like an electric carburized thing, stabs and tries hurting him. And the next thing you know, not lying to you, and I think John Carver might have came from the John Wick universe, because this motherfucker has some assassin level training. He basically has this clothesline wire that he wraps around Tim Dillon's neck and then moves back, I guess, with the like putting like an X angle against his neck with these clothesline wires. He's strangling him, and then he pulls his arms forward, and Tim Dillon's head gets severed off, clean, falls off. And of course, this motherfucker, John Wick Carver, pulls that shit off and just walks away like a badass, getting ready to get his stuff. I was like, dude, cool guys don't look at decapitations. That's a new badass trope now. I mean, this motherfucker is a brutal killer. He's got efficiency. He's very dangerous. He's very skilled. Has an range of weaponry, is very, well researched. You can tell this killer is very meticulous, puts in a lot of research, knows how to operate cryptic messaging and stuff. Just a very, very dangerous individual. And then he ends up taking Tim Dillon's head, puts it inside of his duffel bag, closes it, and is about to walk out. And next thing you know, he sees Tim Dillon's cat is hungry. So of course, what does he decide to do? Puts down the duffel bag with the head, and then puts down cat food, water, and starts petting the pussy. I mean, that's the kind of guy John Wick Carver is. Always, always petting the pussy. Wait, petting. Petting the pet cat. That sounds better. Petting the pet cat, because of course, John Carver, even though this person is killing people brutally and murdering and has a very sinister sense of the Thanksgiving holiday, they care about animals and they have a good heart, of course. So you get that dark comedy moment. John Carver goes on. You get more brutal kills throughout the film. You get the sense that this killer all of a sudden now is targeting the teenagers because they all get tagged in the post and all of their names are on this Thanksgiving table. So they're all going to start getting targeted. And, John Carver then starts targeting them, starts doing a lot of brutal different kills, utilizes axes, knives, electric carvers, utilizes an oven. At a certain point, there is a use of an oven that is horrific, that is brutal, and plays into the very climax ending, which was disgusting. They utilize tranquilizer darts. They utilize, all different types of weaponry. People get the sense they might be like some sort of military background to them. They might be more dangerous than they estimated. The police are having a hard time dealing with John Carver. The teenagers are obviously ill prepared. And honestly, even me, I know it's very safe for people to be like, oh no, these kids should have got guns earlier. They should have hired protection. We would have been ready for John Carver. In fact, if I was in Plymouth, Massachusetts, we would have got the whole town to hunt down John Carver. Fuck no. This ain't John Carver, bro. This is John Wick Carver. This motherfucker clearly has assassin training. He be whooping that ass, and I am not gonna be on that Thanksgiving table. Look, I'm all skin and bone right now. The way I've been eating these past few weeks, I might end up on that plate. I'm hoping this cough don't go away just for the reason that I don't end up on a serial killer's platter because, I'm sick. I might get them sick. They don't want that shit. I'm spoiled meat, all right? This motherfucker is brutal. This motherfucker is ruthless. They got the Black Air Forces equipped, and they are just too meticulous, man. This is too dangerous of a slasher for anybody in this town to take lightly. Even the armed and trained police are basically getting damn near fodderized by this guy. And even during a school scene, there's a guy who works out that I think is like a trainer there at the high school, and I think he was in the front of the riot crowd at Right Mart the year before. And I think he's the one who incited the riot, and essentially he gets killed. He gets his neck snapped very easily, which is why, again, this motherfucker John Wick Carver is different. And then the cheerleader was basically doing like a little strip show for the guy in like the back of an auditorium. She has a trampoline there. She's jumping on it. She's stripping. She's got a fat ass too. I mean, that's a whole Thanksgiving meal in itself. I don't blame bro. Listen, if we're talking about the holiday of the feasts, he was about to chow down, you feel me? But then John Wick Carver, of course, comes in. And as the girl is jumping on the trampoline, John Wick Carver is under that trampoline with a knife. And as soon as she jumps down back onto the trampoline, he slices her through the foot. She then freaks out, falls, and then as she lands again, he stabs her again. She bounces up, falls back down. He stabs her in a different place, falls up, back down, stabs her in a different place. And he just keeps stabbing her through this trampoline in different places as she's bouncing up and down until eventually she's slumped and dead. That was a really fun kill scene, really creative, really cool. And this whole movie's filled with that. And that's basically the story. Things then start getting more intense for the teenagers. They think that this killer is targeting them specifically, maybe something that involved last year, and they have to find a way to deal with it. And the climax to this movie is not only very intense, very crazy, it gets brutal and disgusting, and it is very much extreme horror. So just be aware of that. This is an extreme horror movie at certain points. So just be prepared for that. It's a very graphic slasher, but I love it for that. So the positives of this movie, again, the violence in here is incredible. The gore in here is incredible. The creative kills is off the chain. John Wick Carver is probably my favorite slasher outside of like Freddy Krueger right now. John Wick Carver is very creative, very talented, very well skilled in killing, very meticulous in how this individual sets up, this encryptic social media stuff, finds different targets. And there's multiple suspects throughout this movie. You get like 3 or 4 of them throughout the film, or maybe even more than that. And then the person that you do get, you don't really expect, but there is a little hint dropped in the movie that kind of hints that it may be them. But yeah, this movie is incredible in that regard. So if you're looking for good slasher stuff, this movie has that. You have the Thanksgiving gimmick. It's used really well. That Right Mart scene with the riot reminded me of the scene in Krampus, except the Krampus scene was comedic. This one was dark comedy, but it was way more fleshed out, way more important to the plot, way more brutal and disgusting, and really does a commentary on our culture. You also have, again, the Thanksgiving holiday. The Thanksgiving holiday is used throughout the entire gimmick of the movie. All the different kills that John Carver does is Thanksgiving based, and that plays into the climax scene involving this Thanksgiving feast. It's very graphic, very brutal, but it's done in a fun way in that regard. And then the characters. There's some good characters in here. The Sheriff Eric, he's a very likable guy. He's played by Patrick Dempsey. He does a good job playing the sheriff role. He very much, cares about the kids, takes care of them. You can see his role in the movie. And then you have the main character, Jessica, and she's a standout role. Jessica, the main character, is very fleshed out, has a lot of sympathy that you have towards her. I think the actress name is Nell Verlaque. This actress is fantastic. She did a great job. I want to see her in more horror movies. And by the way, she's drop dead fucking gorgeous. Talk about a baddie who knows how to act. She's fantastic, man. Listen, you and me now, pizza. All the rest is history. If you're listening out there, not an expensive pizza place. Maybe a Little Caesars. I've been trying to deal with the IRS, so we gotta make do with what we make do. But yeah, Nell Verlaque, she did a fantastic job. Fantastic actress. Great job in the movie. And overall, shout out to Eli Roth and shout out to Jeff Rendell. You guys did a fantastic job with the movie. The pacing is tight. The story's well done. There's actual motives behind the killer. The things they do make sense. The reveals are well timed. Again, all the gore and brutal and creativity and the kills are all there. It's everything you could pretty much want in a slasher movie. And I would give this one a 9.8 out of 10. My only slight critique was a scene in the climax involving a necklace. I thought that was sort of corny, specifically involving an action scene and killing somebody. That was that specific part that sort of felt corny to me. But the rest of the movie is really well done. And the ending, the twist ending to the movie is clever in its own right and leaves some room potentially for maybe something in the future. I don't know if it would be a sequel, but something inspired in the future maybe. So yeah, very good movie. 9.8 out of 10, almost perfect. This is one of my favorite horror movies of all time. It's going in my S tier, my Hall of Fame of horror, and this is definitely my favorite slasher so far. Please go check out Thanksgiving and go see the greatness of John Wick Carver, the Baba Yaga. Oh, you want to kill him? You want to kill him? I want to kill him. What about you, Mr. John Carver? I'm going to kill all of you. That is for sure, yeah? A problem, a conundrum, yeah? John Wick Carver, amazing slasher, and overall fantastic movie. Eli Roth, we need to see more shit out of you. Jeff Randall, more shit out of you. Please keep it up for the future. That's all I have for today. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, hit that subscribe button down below and hit that like button. I'm going to link down below Horror FFA and Night Living Dudes videos on Thanksgiving, so you can go check those out as well. And make sure to subscribe to them and like their videos. But I'm not a socialist. I'm a capitalist. So you gonna like my fucking shit first. You gonna hit my fucking subscribe button first, bitch. You gonna hit my like button first, bitch. And then when you're done with that, then you can go and show support. I love you and I appreciate you, my fan base. So that's the plan. I got more content to come, more horror movies out there, and I just want to say I love each and every single one of you guys. My community is building. This channel would not exist without any of you guys. You guys are very supportive to me. Your subscribers, you know, the fact that you guys comment on my videos, the fact you guys like my videos, the fact that some of you that are fellow reviewers have helped me out a lot through my journey. You guys make it all happen. So I make my videos for you guys to make you guys happy, maybe make you guys laugh, and feel like a friend is talking about you with horror stuff that you enjoy. All I have for today. Hope you guys enjoy. Go out there, enjoy the summer, spend time with your loved ones and your friends, and make sure that at dinner tonight, there are no leftovers. All I have for today. Deuces. Now I need to go to the John Wick Carver class to get rid of this cold. All right, I know I said I don't want to end up on a dining table, but this shit gotta go, bruh. Maybe we need Thanksgiving cough drops.